What's going on, everybody? It's George Hines Jr. Welcome back to the classroom. Now let's take care of the business. I need everybody to go like, subscribe, turn on that notification bell so when I post new videos, you can see it posted. Now, my wife tells me I'm a little crazy. I said, hey, man, I want 20,000 subscribers by the end of this year. She said, George, you are ridiculous. Maybe so. I love doing what I do, so I'm bringing you guys the content whether you do or you don't. Like, subscribe, share the video, and let's jump right into this thing. So here recently, I've really been focusing on logic, teaching people how to think, how to look at a set of information, how to draw inferences from it, how to draw conclusions from it, how to read in between the lines to see what it says. There was a course that we took back in college called Analytical Reasoning, which taught you how to formulate arguments, how to follow the logic of the argument, and how to find which things were actually steeped in reality and which things weren't. Believe it or not, guys, people now claim things are true that have no basis in reality. That's a dangerous game to play. And logically, everybody has to play that game or nobody should play that game. So we're just going to take a simple true-false test. And if you remember anything about elementary, middle school, true-false tests were one of those things that everybody loved because you knew you had a 50-50 shot. It's like, well, even if I don't know this answer, I can guess and I'm either going to get it right or I'm going to get it wrong. But there is no in between. But the world we live in today is challenging even this very fundamental principle. So if a teacher were to give me a true-false test in the world today, I would make 100 on every single one of them. And it would ultimately get to a point where they couldn't even offer a true-false test to me anymore because I'm getting 100. I'm arguing anything that you say I got wrong because I'm going to tell you that the answer I chose was my truth. And you have no grounds or no basis to tell me that I'm wrong. That's the danger in it. When you pull things out of reality, other things have to come off the table as well, because people like myself are going to abuse those things and twist and manipulate them to always work in their favor. The very first question: summa cum laude is a 3.9 GPA or above or greater. The answer to that is true if you know anything about summa cum laude, magna cum laude, and just loud. I think it's loud or cum laude. Now, I didn't graduate with any of these degrees because I wasn't like that. So an inference that we can draw from this is that people who are summa cum laude are smarter than people who are magna cum laude. Now, you could go into all types of arguments from this thing, but if you simply look at it based on the grading scale, we can't argue that logic. That is the thing that is based in reality. Some people could say, well, what if you were summa cum laude in communications and another person was magna cum laude in physics? And it's like, well, according to the grading scale, this person had a better academic career than the other person did. We don't have to be as nuanced in things as we think we need to be. But because in our generation and our culture, we've become so argumentative, we don't accept things at face value. That's why society suffers. Second question: to go to New York from North Carolina, you must travel north. Well, if you've ever looked at a map, if you know anything about anything, you know that North Carolina is a part of the South. You know that New York is up north. So if you're in North Carolina and you want to go to New York, some shape, form, or fashion, whether you're walking, riding a bike, on a scooter, on an airplane, on a train, eventually you have to go north. We know that that's true. Third, if you eat meat, you are not vegetarian. Well, what do we know about vegetarians? We know that vegetarians only eat vegetables. So that's true. One of the things that people get on me about often Is Georgia judgmental? And I'm like, well, what do you mean by judgmental? Because all I'm doing is simply taking what I know, I'm observing what's happening, and I'm making a call based on reality, what I know, and what's happening. You put all of those together and you can make some pretty accurate calls. You can call them judgments if you like, but it's not being judgmental. To tell somebody who eats meat that they're not a vegetarian, it's not judgmental. Now you could ask, why do I care? Why would I care to tell them? Now that's a valid question. But to tell me I'm judgmental for telling them, that's not valid. Right here it says, if you had $100 and you spent $50, you now have $50. The basic laws of mathematics tell us that if I've got 100, I subtract 50 from that 100, then I will have a remaining 50 left. That's true. Number 5, you flip a coin. It did not land on heads, therefore it landed on tails. Now, anybody can take a coin out of their pocket. I don't have one on me. But if a coin is what everybody understands a coin to be for all of the time we've had fiat currency, there's a head, there's a tail. If you watch sports, the referee says there's a head and there's a tail. He flips it. The coin does not land on heads. Therefore, there is only one other option. There is no spectrum. In the world today, we think that there can be a spectrum. This thing is binary. It's a head or it's a tail. There is nothing in between that you could call. And there is no circumstance that could even begin to justify you attempting to make such a claim. It did not land on heads, therefore it landed on tails. That's true. Finally, your body mass index, your BMI, is 43. You are obese. Now, this is where we begin to get into the feelings of things, where people will say, well, I'm still beautiful. It's like, well, we're not saying that you're not beautiful. We're just saying that you're obese. And then in reality, we can make a connection that obese people are a little less healthy than people who are not obese. It's not a judgment. It's not saying that because you're obese, you'll never be happy. It's not saying that because you're obese, you better stop or you need to stop doing X, Y, or Z. It's not saying any of those things. All it is simply saying is if your body mass index is 43, then you are obese. Now you have to go look at the body mass index chart. I think it's from like the Heart Health something Association. You go look at that. They show you what the chart shows. They give you criteria, much like they do GPA. They give you a scale on which to judge these things by. Once you understand the scale, once you accept the scale, you're able to then go and build out things that work for groups of individuals, for groups of people, to help formulate reality in life. So when you go and look and you see, okay, if you're 43 on the BMI, you are considered obese. This is true. We have things that can verify truth in reality in every aspect and component of life. But we sincerely live in a world today where people are now saying that if you are born with a penis, you're not necessarily a man. If you are born with a vagina, a vulva, with ovaries, you're not necessarily a woman or a girl. We have taken these things and we pulled them out of reality. And we expect people to respect us. And we expect people to join into these queer affirming lifestyles or these trans affirming lifestyles. When the transphobia, when the transgenderism has no reason and all behind it, except that somebody's feelings has pointed them or taken them in this direction. And I wonder all the time, I'm like, why are people not outraged by this? We should be as outraged about a man with a penis saying he's a woman because he feels it as we are about somebody who is magna cum laude saying that they deserve to be rewarded summa cum laude. We should be just as outraged as somebody who says, hey, you can go south from North Carolina and get to New York. We should be outraged by anybody that would tell somebody that, because it's a lie. But here we are defending this stuff. And when we step into the Christian space, people are saying, well, who are you to judge? And I tell people, listen, I'm not here to judge or send you to hell. I got my own fight. But what I am here to do is let you know that these people are lying to you. This is a lie. That is not true. And if you continue to buy these lies, you're going to begin to see the world as we know it change. And the very things that you have utilized your entire existence to make rational decisions, to protect your family, to make business choices, those things are going to no longer be there to back up the choices that you need to continue to make in the future to protect your family. And we're only going to have ourselves to blame for not taking a stance on something as simple as what we're talking about here. Y'all be blessed.